An increasing sense of emergency. That's how the president of the European Jewish Congress recently described the concern over growing anti-Semitism in Europe. That includes France, where an increase in anti-Semitic attacks has raised the alarm. NewsHour Weekend Special Correspondent Christopher Livesay reports from Paris.
Every Saturday for the past 8 months, thousands of people have donned yellow road safety vests and marched on the streets of Paris and other cities in France, the so-called Yellow Vest protests. What began as and remains a mostly economic campaign against high fuel taxes has evolved into a more wide-ranging anti-establishment protest, sometimes violent, targeting policemen, journalists, the wealthy, the French president. But what shocked many here in France is that they've also at times targeted Jews.
The Yellow Vest movement is a largely leaderless one that's given a platform to people of all kinds of ideologies. Yet some people say it's that same openness that's allowed anti-Semitism to rear its ugly head.
Last February, police had to step in to protect prominent philosopher Alain Finkielkraut after he was bombarded with insults and anti-Jewish taunts. And some protesters have been spotted calling French President Macron a whore of the Jews and their puppet.
Yellow Vest is a very heterogeneous movement, but it favors the expression of anti-Semitism because of its populist and anti-elite tones.
Research professor Nona Meyer says the Yellow Vest movement, while not anti-Semitic itself, has accidentally revealed a subset of the movement that is. And statistics show anti-Semitic incidents are on the rise, up 74% from last year.
There were 541 acts, according to the police counts. 1/3 of them were actual violence against people or against a synagogue or against a house. The others were what they call threats. That means graffitis, insults, intimidation.
And there's another new layer to today's anti-Semitism: social media.
But the reality on the web, it's not a few hundred, it's thousands, of course, every day. Every day.
Johanna Barash is assistant director of Dilkra, a government agency set up in 2014 specifically to coordinate the government's response to hate crimes, including anti-Semitism. She showed us some examples of anti-Semitic postings.
It's supposed to be the hand of a Jew pushing on the people.
Many are offensive, but they're not illegal.
To go clearly against the law, you have to target directly people, incite violence.
Or deny the Holocaust. In fact, France is one of several countries in Europe, including Germany, where Holocaust denial is a crime.
This one says, today Hitler is the minimum. We need to kill more Jews. That is what it means. This is not easy to prosecute, but it can be argued that it is an apology for the genocide. And this is illegal. In Germany, they've just passed a law in which if they don't take down the illegal contents, like Facebook or Twitter or any kind of platforms, then they are confronted to huge fines, like $1 million.
And you would like to be able to impose the
Exactly.
same fines in France?
Yeah.
How bad is it right now?
In certain neighborhoods, I would not walk around with my kippah.
Rabbi Tom Cohen is an American who's lived in Paris for the last 25 years. Though he's proud of his small synagogue, he wouldn't let us film the outside of his building.
We're trying to avoid any attacks.
You're trying to avoid becoming a target?
Yeah, we avoid becoming a target. Exactly. That's what the security service has recommended, so we have to have guards.
There's been a heightened need for security here since March 2012. A man identifying himself as a follower of ISIS targeted a Jewish day school in Toulouse, killing a rabbi and 3 children.
After the attack of Toulouse, the French government mobilized the French army, and in this particular small synagogue, we say in Yiddish, a shtibolach, which means a little tiny synagogue, I had 8 soldiers living here 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 4 months. That response of the French government at the time saved my religious school, because parents were afraid at that point to say, why would I send my kids to school thinking maybe something might happen?
France is home to the largest Jewish population outside Israel and the United States. 500,000 Jews live here, many in Paris's Marais neighborhood. More recently, the 17th district, just north of the Arc de Triomphe, has become the new Jewish quarter of Paris, with about 40,000 Jews, some of whom say they fled to the city from the suburbs because of anti-Semitism there.
You do have a large number of migrants from majority Muslim countries. Does that impact at all the level of anti-Semitism?
It's more complicated because in the suburbs of Paris, where you'll have Jews and where you'll have people who are immigrant-born identified to the Palestinian cause, it's a very special mix of social insecurity, social resentment, with the emotional trigger of what's going on in the Middle East, and then suddenly that makes them gives them the possibility to defend a cause, the cause of the Palestinians.
Sasha Gazlan, president of the national organization Union of French Jewish Students, helped commission a poll which he says shows how bad things really are, even at France's esteemed public Sorbonne University.
What came out from this poll is that for the Jewish students specifically, 89% of them have experienced directly anti-Semitism in university.
Wow. He showed us how the office of the Jewish Student Union was ransacked last year.
Long live to Arafat, death to Israel, long live to Palestine.
Do we know who did this?
No, we don't.
The slurs were very anti-Israel.
Yes.
Is that the same thing as being anti-Semitic?
No, actually, I mean, you can protest against the policy of the Israeli government. That's fair, that's politics. But when you say death to Israel, that's something very particular. So people use their hate against Israel to target Jewish people here in France. And I'm fed up with tweets coming from the government saying we condemn this act. We want more act coming from the government, from deans of university.
The Jewish students have problems, but others, Islamic students, Arabic students, have problems too.
Georges Haddad is president of the Sorbonne. He denounces anti-Semitism and defends his university.
My university is not anti-Semitic at all, and I am the best example. I am a Jewish person from a Jewish family coming from Tunisia, and I've been twice elected president of this university.
And while Haddad takes anti-Semitic acts seriously, he says the numbers on campus are marginal, 2 or 3 a year, and there isn't much that he can do about them.
So in the meantime, what do you do?
Discuss, dialogue. I'm not pessimistic, I'm realistic.
Rabbi Cohen, too, believes dialogue has a place. It's one of the reasons he helps organize this interfaith choir at a nearby church. The theme of this performance? Peace, shalom in Hebrew. It's something Rabbi Cohen says his community strives for, even in the shadow of anti-Semitism, knowing there were times when things were far worse.
It's not Vichy France. And matter of fact, that's the one major difference I always say. The French government is 110% behind us, and we feel it.